good.
Yo, what is good, ECF family? We're back again on the YouTube channel, and if you're new here, hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe button. Today, we are starting a new series. It's called Recruit Spotlight. Five-star quarterback from the state of Tennessee, headed to the University of Alabama. Like a five-star headed to Alabama. Like, come on, it's nothing new here. Ty's an interesting one though, and we'll get into it in the interview. Ty's about to hop in here. Recruit Spotlight is a series. We're going to highlight a recruit once a week. Today is Ty Simpson. Is five-star quarterback, committed to Alabama. Just committed last week, right? 2 weeks.
Yep.
Wow, brother. So let's go into that. What led you to the decision to want to go to Alabama, and then why was that the right move for you?
Yeah, bro. So, my dad's the head coach here at the University of Tennessee Martin, head football coach. So, I'm kind of a football junkie and college football junkie. So, to be able to do this with a account like yours is, I've been a follower since like the fifth grade.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. So, I enjoy college football, and football in general. I never want to get out of it. I want to be a coach when I grew up. And it was a very hard decision, Tennessee, Clemson, some of the top line programs. But, throughout the years, the consistency of Alabama has just been, remarkable. So getting the chance to play for the best college coach ever, play in the SEC for a guy who, wins it most of the time, it's something I couldn't pass up. And it was a great opportunity for me.
Hey, I feel you. All right, bro. You can't answer all my questions in one response, bro. I was really gonna hit your dad's a coach at UT Martin. All right, so let's talk. UT Martin was in your top five. Your dad's head coach there. A lot of people, a lot of optimists were holding out that maybe you would go there. Was your dad really heavily on the pool to get you to go to UT Martin, or was he kind of like, do you, if you got offers from everywhere, you've earned your recruitment, do what you want to do?
Yeah, he'll tell you if you ask him that he wouldn't let me go there because I was uncoachable or something like that. But no, I really considered it just because one, how cool it would have been to have a father-son duo like that. Two, play in my hometown with a bunch of guys that I know going to school with practically everybody I know.
Yep.
It was just a good feeling. But at the same time, he knows that, what my dreams are and what I want to achieve. And he knew that I, maybe couldn't achieve them at the University of Tennessee at Martin. But at the same time, family comes first.
I feel you, brother. Okay, so speaking on UT Martin, let's hit on the I'm not gonna say the real UT. I'm a Texas fan, so we believe the real UT's in Texas, not Tennessee. Why not Tennessee though? Like you're from Tennessee. Everyone knows what's going on in Tennessee right now. The McDonald situation, the Josh, like there's a big difference. Was that like the coaching changes, the stigma around it right now? Was that just like not feel like a good situation to you?
Yes and no. I love the University of Tennessee. I love the state of Tennessee. I was actually born in San Marcos, Texas.
Okay.
My dad was the head coach there at Texas State, and I moved here within 3 weeks. So all I've known is Tennessee. But I really love Pruitt and his staff and Coach Winky. They've been recruiting me since I was in 8th grade. So having them there was a comfortable feeling, knowing that I would go to Tennessee playing for the school and playing for them. And that's basically all I knew. And then this year, with a bunch of stuff going on, there's just a lot of question marks about it. And I knew, my dad made me write down what are my dreams and what do I want to achieve. And I knew that, maybe I couldn't achieve some of them at the University of Tennessee.
All right. So speaking on your dreams, right? Like you wrote them down. What is like your biggest goal that you want to achieve at Alabama from a team perspective and from your career perspective?
So of course, from team perspective, it would probably be a natty.
Yeah.
But also, probably be one of the best teams to, play ever. Of course, it's kind of cool that you have the 2019 LSU, and then you have, the 2020 Alabama team. If those two would have faced off, I don't know who would have won because that would be a really good game. You got the 2006 Texas team, the 2006 USC team, and, teams like that. And so being able to play for, a natty would be awesome. From a personal standpoint, I'd love to win the Heisman, but it's a dream since I've been a kid would be playing the NFL. So,
Right.
it's just whatever, I can do to achieve that goal, whether it's play, 4 years at the University of Alabama or 1 year like Mac and, Kyler did, that's all I want to do.
All right, that's a perspective you don't see from athletes often. You just said, if I play 4 years, I'll play 4 years, but if I play one, I'll play one. I think that's especially why a lot of recruits won't even look like if you're a high recruit at Alabama per se. A lot of recruits fantasize it looks cool, but then they don't want to go compete, which you just said if you got to compete, you only play 1 year. That's the way of the road. Okay, so you said Nick Saban was the greatest coach of all time. From a recruiting perspective, how is your point of view changed on Nick Saban? You went from an avid college football fan, like, bro, funny story. Anybody watching the Recruit Spotlight? Ty, when you said you've been following us for the longest time, you meant it. I was going up in our DMs and I was like, this man, bro. And I went to congratulate you for your recruitment. And I was like, man, Ty's really been a supporter for a while. And so yeah, let me hear your difference from you think he's the greatest coach of all time, but from a recruiting perspective, how do you think of him now?
So, throughout the years, Coach Sark at Texas was recruiting me in Alabama. I've probably before, the last year, I probably talked to Saban, I don't know, probably 5 times, just from visiting with him and on the phone. And most of them came this year. And then after the Natty, when, recruiting started to pick up and they signed the 21 class, the best class ever, it just started rolling. I talked to him probably every day that week that I was getting closer to my commitment. And a lot of people, got a wrong perspective on Coach Saban. They think he's hardcore and they think Alabama was hardcore, rightfully so. It's the, best program, ever, arguably. And, it's gotta be hard nosed. It's just how it is. But he's got, he's got a soft side. Just, when he's recruiting, he can recruit now. He's going to start smiling. When Miss Terry gets on there, it's a funny feeling because he knows that he's got to be on his best behavior.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's funny. Everyone sees Nick Saban as this hard-headed guy, right? And then from a recruiting perspective, being hard-headed is cool and all, but then Nick Saban has feelings at the same time because how well he recruits that you got to show you truly care for those recruits. All right. So I know I just asked you on Nick Saban, but from an overall perspective, you are part of a recruiting class, and I think a lot of people don't speak on this enough. That really doesn't get recruiting visits. The dead period is going on for like almost a year and a half, almost a year. Gosh, time flies. So you really didn't get any visits, and I don't know if you did get visits, if you'd say where you visited to. But how was like what changed through having no visits in COVID?
Yeah, man, it's been tough for sure. Fortunately for me, my mom and dad bought me tickets to go everywhere I wanted to go. I went to a Tennessee game, a Clemson game, and an Alabama game, and an Ole Miss game. So getting able to get back on campus and texting some players to get out was still really cool. But it's so hard because you can't see the faces of everybody from the the new coaches. You can't. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
But it's our job as committed players to recruit those other guys who are still questionable about it, and that's why I think it's pretty cool to go to the University of Alabama because the proof is in the pudding. They just won the national championship, and Nick Saban's won 7 national championships. So why would you not want to come here? Play, like I said, play for the best, play at the best, play with the best, play against the best.
Hey, you couldn't have quoted anybody. You can tell your dad's a football coach just off that quote alone, bro. All right. So you mentioned Steve Sarkisian, and he was your main recruiter. Did Bill O'Brien reach out to you after he was hired? Did he play a new factor in your recruitment, or was it just kind of Nick Saban taking the bigger load? And then, or did you get to meet Bill O'Brien before committing?
So I never got to meet him. Of course, we did Zooms. But actually, before the Natty, when Coach Sark was hired, Coach Saban said, "All right, Ty, Coach Sark's leaving, but this is the direction we're going to go in." And, as a football guy, I did a lot of research on him from, mic'd up when he was in the NFL, from clinics when he was at Penn State, knowing that if I went to go play for this guy, would I be the best player that I could be? And knowing that he was, the first OC for Tom Brady, he coached Deshaun Watson, Christian Hackenberg at Penn State. I knew, okay, where are those guys' careers at?
Yep.
And, I think they've had pretty good careers. And, the first day Coach O'Brien got the job, he called me and was like, hey, man, just wanted to tell you it's been official. I'm the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at the University of Alabama, and I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to coach you here. I'm going to recruit you hard. I'm going to get you to come to the University of Alabama. And after that, I kind of was like, man, I know that if I go play for this man and Coach Saban in the Alabama program, that I'm going to have a chance to win the Heisman, and I'm going to be the best player I can be, whether that's, at the lowest level or at the highest level. I know that I'm going to be the best me I can be.
Hey, great perspective on that. And I think it's funny, a lot of people slandered the Bill O'Brien hire. I think from a media outlet perspective, right? Because you said you follow the media perspective. I think we were one of the only media outlets that defended the Bill O'Brien hire, because I don't think people realize how good of an OC he is. He might have gotten in over his head at the Texans, which becoming GM while being head, I couldn't imagine that. You know what I'm saying? But from a West Coast offensive perspective, he really almost revolutionized the offensive system in the NFL with Andy Reid. And I think people leave that behind when they're looking at him, because they just want to look at the broader perspective of, wow, the Texans aren't that good anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, Deshaun Watson as a rookie, and even this year, threw for tons of yards. And people don't realize how hard it was to be a GM and also a head coach, because you got the salary cap. You got to make sure, okay, do I want this guy? And you got to make sure. I mean, it's just hard, man.
I couldn't imagine. All right. Do you know who Rivals Mike is?
Of course.
Okay, you know who he is?
Yes, sir.
You've probably seen this. He compared you to Joe Burrow. I don't know if you saw that, but his comparison for you was Joe Burrow. What would be your thoughts if you had to give me your thoughts on his comparison?
I was very excited and humbling for sure. It's funny because I've been a Joe Burrow fan, ever since he got to LSU. Watching his toughness, it just was cool. And being a coach's kid, I can see the comparison for sure. And, it was funny because going to Alabama, on a visit and stuff, Mac Jones hit me up. It was like, hey, man, heard Coach Saban and Coach O'Brien talk to you. I want to hit you up. Can we get on the phone? I was like, holy crap, of course. So, talking to him, he was like, look, man, I just want to tell you about Alabama, but I just want to tell you this. I watched your tape. I see a lot of me in you from a schematic standpoint, from, loving football, and also a playing standpoint. And wherever you go, just know that you can call me anytime about anything, anywhere. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. So I thought that was cool to have Joe Burrow, but I also think at the same time, I think Coach Saban compares me to Mac, so that's pretty cool.
I think you resemble a lot of, I'm not gonna say I watched your film, but I didn't get to watch all of it, so I'm not gonna go into. And I'm not a quarterback like schematics like Mac was, but personality wise, you fit Mac. Another one goes to you had to give an inspiration, right? Like a lot of athletes want to get recruited. You're a 5-star. And whether people want to use your dad or whatever, people are always going to have something to say. It's just the way they wrote. But what would be your advice to athletes that want to get noticed, that want to get a chance at a D1 university or maybe even D2? What would you say the best way for them to get looked at is?
Probably the best way and inspiration I can give you is, don't let anybody outwork you. I know that's nonchalant and everybody says it, but it's true. I take pride in that, just because I know that even though I'm the best one in my town, or the best quarterback in the state of Tennessee, that doesn't matter. I want to be the best ever. I want to be the best, Tom Brady. So never be satisfied in anything that you do, whether that's checkers or running down the stairs. You just want to be the best at everything, and I think that's what competing goes into. So just work your tail off, and never be satisfied at anything. You may be the best at throwing the back shoulder on the fade. Well, guess what, you can go even farther than that. So I think that's probably the best advice I can give, is never be satisfied with anything.
100%. Complacency kills dreams, brother. Like when you get complacent with where you're at, bro. And bro, that happens for us at times too. Like ECF, we feel like we're comfortable, and we got to realize all right, we're going back to the drawing board. So hence why we're starting this. This was funny to ask, but for the Miami fans that are still here, if there's any here, why not consider Miami, brother?
Man, they didn't offer me.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't offer me. I went down there for a 7-on-7, and I talked to Coach Diaz, and he was like, "Watch your film. Hopefully we'll get you down here for camp." And man, beautiful campus, beautiful town. Hopefully I can retire there if I make it big. And then Coach Lashley texted me a couple times, but they never offered me. Which I don't know if they were thought that I was too big, or I thought I wasn't good enough. Who cares? But no, I would have heavily considered Miami. Actually, I really enjoyed the U.
Yeah, it's wild. Sometimes I'm looking at teams, and sometimes people don't report offers. So I'm just like, I'm assuming they offered, and then they just didn't report it because they had so many. But the fact they didn't offer you, hey, don't be mad about that one though. I don't think Manny Diaz will be there much longer. I've seen you in my last few times, and you probably know I'm not very nice to Miami. Just Manny Diaz was at Texas one year, bro. I don't know if you remember the year, but it was
I do.
Worst defense in Texas football history.
You know a funny story?
Let me hear it.
So Coach Pruitt, when I were very tight, and it was when Manny Diaz was the defensive coordinator at Mississippi State.
Okay.
And Mac Brown called him. They were recruiting one day, called Nick Saban, and was like, "Hey, Coach Saban, I need a defensive coordinator. Do you know anybody?" And he's like, "Hold on 1 minute, let me get my papers." And they're in the car at some recruit's house in Florida, and Jeremy Pruitt's right next to him. He's like, "Jeremy, Mac Brown's asking me who should I hire for defense coordinator? Did we face anybody who's good on defense this year?" And Coach Pruitt's in his country voice like this, and he's like, "Coach, Mississippi State was all right this year." And so Coach Saban goes, Mac, Mississippi State was pretty decent this year on defense.
Yeah.
2 days later, bro, they hired Manny Diaz.
So we blame Coach Pruitt for that horrendous Texas defense. Man. I mean, if we got to put the blame on somebody, put it on Coach Pruitt, because I can't put it on Nick Saban, but I can put it on Coach Pruitt. Okay, I can't put it on Nick Saban, but okay. So we talked about focusing, like what inspiration would you do, but what would you recommend like younger athletes to focus on, whether that's like school and athletics, or like whether that's like focus on your craft, or what advice would you say besides just by like outworking, not getting complacent?
Probably as a quarterback, probably footwork, because you ever heard slow feet don't eat. Yeah. That's in quarterbacking for sure. One thing with Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes is a little different because he's a freak when it comes to throwing ball. But if you look at Aaron Rodgers, his feet are always in the position to throw. Yeah. And that's why he can make all the throws that he can, and that's why it's hard to mimic him because he's so good at it. But if your feet are always set as a quarterback, you're gonna be good.
Dude, I know it's like funny story. In 6th grade, I tried to be a quarterback. I thought I could move from slot wide receiver to quarterback when I was like 10. How old am I in 6th grade? Like 12. It was horrible, bro. I bought a QB net. My 3-step drop back was horrible. I was like, all right, I've never been a quarterback. But yeah, where are you at right now in high school in Tennessee?
Westview.
Westview, is that like is it a private school, or is it just like a public school?
No, man, it's the most public you can get, man. It's small, okay. School. Shoot, I probably have, I don't know, maybe 115 kids in my class.
Okay.
That. So we're small now.
Dang. It's great. You have 150. You know how many kids I had in my class?
How many?
1,065.
Holy crap! Did you know everybody's name?
Bro, you really think I knew everybody's name, bro? No way, dog. I had my crew, and I stuck to myself. And it's funny because throughout high school, I just grinded ECF behind the scenes and a bunch of the stuff behind the scenes, and nobody really knew. And then now I graduated, and they see me like move on, and they're like, "Wow, it's honestly he's doing what he wanted to do." And I'm blessed, bro, beyond belief. How much time a day do you think you spend practicing working out?
Shoot, so I'm in baseball right now, so it's kind of hard, but I have 7th period, football. So an hour there, I got 2 hours of baseball, and then I go back to lift. So probably two hours a day, just trying to get stronger. And focusing on, as a quarterback, focusing on the back and traps. That's a huge part of it.
All right, the question we're gonna end it off for the Q&A. We're still talking for this is the impact your dad had on your life in football and outside of football. Like, you grew up in a football family, head coach, a guy who's always had a football presence. How did that help you in football and outside of football?
Shoot, that's a good question. Start with outside football first. I mean, I can't thank him enough. He's a man of faith. We're a family of faith, so faith is always first to us. Go to church every Sunday, and a lot of it has to do with impact that he has on his players. Being there with him ever since I was a little kid, and seeing guys cry in his office. When they're having a kid or they fail a drug test, and him always being there and praying for them. It's just cool, and seeing how much of an impact he has on young men, and it's really cool. Somebody called him the other day. Two players were asking me, Coach, I got this girl I really, really like, and she has a great personality, but she's not a Christian.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? And he's going through, reading Bible verses and stuff, and seeing that, and seeing those two players say, "We love you, Coach Simpson. We're going to do anything for you. Let's go win a championship this year." Seeing that is real, real cool, and that's why of course, Coach Saban, I think him are very alike, because I think Coach Saban does that for a lot of guys too, that people just don't realize it. And for a football standpoint, everything that I've accomplished is from him. I started off, 7th grade going to, college camps just because he knows Dan Mullen knew, he graduated Southern Miss, so he took him down there and throwing with those guys, getting after me when I'm not doing well, letting me throw to his guys during practice in the season is got me where I am today, pushing me harder. When I come in, man, I'm too tired to work out. Well, guess what? Somebody else worked out today, and they just got better than you. And, just everything that he did for me and that I've accomplished is from him. And I can't thank him enough. He's helping me so much in the recruiting process, knowing that, hey, if you tell them no, they're still going to be the coach at, the University of Tulane, the University of, Miami or something like that. So it's not like it's going to affect him. But guess what? When they're off the phone with you, they're going to call somebody else. So really, everything that I've done is from him.
Yeah. Hey, I feel that was your quote on like somebody at work. I think I live by that quote day. Like there's a quote. If you ever read the book, bro, I'm sure your dad's read it. If you ask him the book, he's read it. It's called Atomic Habits by James Levy, if I'm correct. There's a quote by, if you get 1% better each day, you'll by the end of the year, you'll end up 37 times better. Now, if you get 1% worse each day, counteract, you can decline nearly down to zero. I think that quote, like every day, knowing that there's 7.5 billion people I'm competing with against every day, like I don't know how they can't motivate some people, but some people struggle with that motivation factor. But hearing that 1% quote, like, I don't know about you, but bro, I'm trying to get better each day, like 37 times better at the end of the year. That you're basically a whole new person. Ty, you can say your last words to the YouTube video. I'm going to end it real quick. You got any last words for him?
Man, roll Tide, baby.
Hey, y'all have a good one.